Hi, welcome to the first episode of a series of informative videos for those starting a business, scaling or seeking investment. What you didn't think to ask maybe, or what specialists forget to tell you. We hopefully will cover this off throughout this session. So the first thing to consider is whether to be a limited liability company or partnership or stay as a sole trader. Now there's various benefits to this, such as, and in particular, your personal assets. By being a limited company, your house, your cash, your personal assets are secure because anything that goes wrong, they come to the business, not you. And this is something not to be shirked from. There obviously are also tax benefits, being VAT registered. How you draw money out of the company can be a lot more tax efficient. Of course, there are still additional administrations to go through, such as filings at company's house and accounts, but I do think this is outweighed by removing your personal liability. You can add directors, and also if you're seeking investment and growing, you can allocate shares in a company. The next thing that I think is absolutely essential is really robust contracts, particularly terms and conditions. This is with your suppliers, distributors, your customers, your clients, any third parties. Also, and it's very important that all these terms with your invoices and your policies are mirrored so that you have consistency. That way that you have a process-driven setup, which really helps with cash flow. If you have clear cancellation clauses and payment terms, you're not overextending credit, you're not delaying chasing your debtors. You should also have a plan B, so if certain milestones aren't hit and you're not paid, what does the runway look like? These contracts should have restrictions, and there's a really good deterrent adding interest and legal costs for non-payment. So again, do make sure you put these in place with all third parties you're contracting with. That then goes on to self-employed contractors as well as staff. These contracts, yes, they build a wonderful platform so it's clear between you what your goals are, what you're paying them, what the terms are, but it also helps you place restrictions upon them for taking confidentiality, protecting the intellectual property they create for you, notice periods, also restrictions in moving forward with a competitor or setting up in competition, and really essential, protecting confidential information such as your trade secrets or marketing. You do need to understand the difference between self-employed and employee because it's not always as clear cut as you think. Employees will obviously have employee benefits such as holidays, pensions. However, if you are telling somebody what to do, wear a uniform, how to do it, they could de facto become an employee, which will also have tax consequences. So do be sure that you understand the differences and when they genuinely are self-employed to protect yourself. And look at the benefits of retaining and recruiting, what you have to pay versus what you don't. Now, interestingly, a lot of people are concerned when they're starting a business about the costs of salaries. You can do a number of different things. And if that is a basic salary, you could also obviously offer bonuses and commissions. But what about options? Share options if they hit certain trigger points or the company hits a certain turnover. Or maybe you do what's called reverse options. You give them shares now, but if they leave 1 year, 2 year, then they have to give them back. There are also tax structures such as EMI where you give shares to your employees. Now, if you think about it, it's very easy to leave for an extra few £1,000s, but is it so easy to leave when you're a shareholder of a growing business? So again, it's very good psychologically as well. The next thing to discuss, I'm not an insurance broker and you should speak to an insurance company or broker. However, to consider, public liability is required if you have premises or offices, employer's liability if you have staff. Perhaps you need personal indemnity insurance or product liability depending on what you do. Also, if there's more than one founder, should one of you die or leave or divorce, need to buy the other one out, cross-option insurance does actually help, as very often the company can't afford to buy out shares upon death, for example, to an estate. And as you grow and the company becomes more profitable, it is something to consider. Information Commissioner, data protection. You need to look at what kind of level of data you're processing, and if it's overly complicated, if it's overseas or sensitive, greater consideration is required. However, for all businesses, whether you're processing your staff data or client and consumer data, you do need to give consideration to this. Firstly, register with the Information Commissioner. Make sure you've got website terms and conditions, privacy statements, cookie statements to protect you, and then drill down what further policies you need internally. But make sure it's practical. You have to actually be able to follow the processes within that policy, otherwise it's pretty defunct. There's no point having a 200-page document if you can't comply with it. We are going to cover in the next episode protecting your intellectual property, as it's not sufficient to register a company name and a domain name. Just think of all the money you spend on branding and goodwill, and this is something you really do need to consider. So I'm going to deal with that in much more detail in the next episode. Moving on, you need to find, in my opinion, a really good bookkeeper, unless you're going to use automated systems or do this in-house. But understand the difference between that and a tax advisor. Now, a tax advisor can save you money in the long run, not only structuring your business, how you take the money out, but upon investment and exit. They'll help you with budgets, plans, pitch decks, business proposals. All of these things are absolutely essential as you grow, and especially if you want to seek investment or exit the business. If you're looking for investment, they can even offer you advice and help on EIS and SCIS investment plans. Again, just make sure you get yourself a really good advisor that you trust. If there's more than one or two of you setting up this business, and therefore there's a number of founders, a shareholders agreement is essential. This should be mirrored in your articles, your cap table and other documents. It's all consistent and aligned, but it's very important that you have a platform to build upon. You understand who's doing what authorities you have. If something goes wrong, that agreement will govern how you deal with that. Again, this is a very essential document, so we're going to deal with this in episode 3 so that you understand the essential clauses necessary. And finally, this might sound strange, but when you're starting and scaling a business, have your exit plan agreed and in mind. Why? Because you can structure everything you do going forward with this in mind, both for tax efficiency, for the legal documents to protect you going forward, to attract the right investors or buyers. Your business plans, your pitch decks, and all the documents should mirror your goal ultimately for exit. This, of course, is not set in stone. You can vary this throughout, and I do believe you should audit and always go back on all of these documents and update them as your business grows. But the more you have your 3-year, 4-year, 5-year plan in mind, the more that everything can be wrapped around this for you. These are very basic ideas of how you should start your business. And obviously in series 2, 3 and 4 and beyond, we hopefully drill down in a lot more detail. If I can help you further, please just drop us an email. We would love to speak to you more. Thank you.